All right, welcome back to another episode of Sankofa Sessions. I'm Kofi Annan.
I'm Kofi Adih, and this is episode 2 of our podcast. Want to shout out to our sponsors here, Resist Booksellers in Petersburg, Virginia. If you are in the Richmond metro area, come down 95 South, like they should say on those car commercials, and come check out Resist Booksellers, one of the only African American bookstores in the Richmond metro area. Shout out to the owner, Demetrius, for letting us use his lovely bookstore. And guess what? You can also order online. We'll put that link in the bio. Kofi, how you
For
doing,
sure,
man?
for sure. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Man, I am awesome, man. It is the month of October 2025, our year of the Lord. Shout out to the Eagles for winning, this past weekend. I know some people are Commanders
We're
fans in
not
here.
we're not going there.
Man, oh my bad, my bad.
We only
RG3 is a nightmare. Oh my bad. I
look,
didn't mean to say that.
just because y'all, tushing, pushing, and y'all can get half y'all first downs that way. It
Hey,
doesn't,
more tissue for the pushing.
you know. I see Jalen Hurts finally completed more than
Yeah.
50 yards of passing. So I guess you're happy about that.
Wale made a song. I'm rooting for everybody that's black. So shout out to the two black quarterbacks. I think we had a black quarterback NFC East to Sierra's husband messed it up. If you think about that, starting the year in the NFC East, one of the most prominent.
The first time.
Yeah, for the first time ever. And if that's wrong, please put that in the chat because I can't think of a last time it's happened like that. Because I don't think the Giants has had a black quarterback.
Ever.
No, they had Tyrod Taylor for like a couple games, but
He wasn't
yeah,
starting out the season.
yeah, he didn't start out the season like that or whatever. So we had four. Shout out to Russell, cause Russell from right up the street in Richmond or whatever, man. So shout out to him. He an 804 legend. But
And I actually would like to see Russ back in with the Giants because I liked how they played better.
really,
Yeah.
Jason or Jackson Dart got some swag. That young
No, no,
bull
no. I
got
like
some
this
swag.
because I'm a Commanders fan. We need to go back to that all black NFC East because we need to go get what's his name? What's the other backup?
Oh, you talking about Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
We can have a
yeah.
Jameis Winston start.
Hey, I'm fine.
I don't
with
like
that.
this Jackson Dart stuff.
What's y'all song? Left hand up, Commanders, right? That's what
Yeah,
y'all
man.
do. Hey, shout out to also before we forget and we get into the serious stuff. Shout out to all the HBCU homecomings. It is homecoming season.
TSU
Yep,
whooped up on
yep.
Howard over this past weekend.
Shout out to Tennessee State University. Shout out to Virginia State University. They this week. Shout out to Norfolk State, not your typical homecoming, my alma mater. Shout out to Fayetteville State. They let me get my master's there too. Shout out to Hampton. That their homecoming this weekend as well. So it's a lot of HBCUs. And I think Union was last week too. Shout out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Union. Shout out to you. Yeah. Shout out to Union as well. So this is the time of year where please don't lose your marriage over homecoming. Can I play that? Please don't lose your marriage over homecoming, people. It is that you get there, you go there, and you come back with your family intact. Please.
Yes,
But
sir. Yes, sir.
and guess what? We're gonna talk about a topic today that it's a discussion we gotta have as a black family. I think we're talking about the FBA movement, Kofi.
FBA movement, the foundational Black Americans. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the term. We're gonna talk about what that means. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people they've been saying it's a movement. I don't know. I don't know if it's just my social media feed, but they're calling it the FBA movement. Let me rewind a little bit. So the term FBA, Foundational Black Americans, that term was coined by Tariq Nasheed, who got inspiration for that from Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yeah. Powernomics.
Right, Powernomics, right. And he got that. His original term was Native Black Americans, but then Tariq thought it was a little confusing, so he coined the term Foundational Black Americans and wrote a book, Race Baiter, Foundational Black Americans, Race Baiter. So we're gonna talk about what that term means, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that comes along with that.
Yeah, I ain't mean to yawn and be disrespectful, but
It's late, man. It's late.
no, it's not
You're
that.
getting old, man.
Yeah, I am getting old, but this topic, and I'm probably going to get the ire from the chat. I just think this is another iteration in Black people trying to name or try to identify their identity movement or their identity. Uh, I would just say identity movement. Let me just keep it at that. Once upon a time, and these are different groups, and I'm not throwing shade to these groups, right? Once upon a time, most Black people or a lot of Black people wanted to be NOI or subscribe to the NOI philosophy, Nation of Islam. Then once upon a time, Black people were subscribing to, or many Black people were subscribing to, Moorish Americans. All those groups have their people that are their like core members, but then a lot of people were subscribing to the ideologies because they felt like it gave them more an identity, right? Then you had the Hebrew Israelites, right? A lot of people were subscribing to that. The 5%ers. There's been so many times in history, damn it, some Black people even saying they're native. And if you do have native blood in you, Native American blood, there's nothing wrong with that. That is something that is part of our culture where Black people did intermingle with native population. That's just true, right? But I think there's just been several attempts in time where Black people have tried to tie their lineage to something else than more than what they are. What do you think about that, Kofi?
I think it's a little bit of that. I don't disagree with you, but I think it's coming from a place of divisiveness, if I get the word out right. I don't think it's meant to just identify differences and celebrate differences. I think it's meant to segregate. It's kind of like when white supremacists say like, "Oh yeah, we're not anti-black. We're just pro-white." Nah, you're pretty anti-black. And the sense I get from the folks in the FBA movement is that they're anti everybody else, every other black um, person of the diaspora.
How?
Uh,
How? I don't understand.
well, so okay, and so I think I'm this is just from me doing some light research on this and just kind of looking up some different videos, and but every video that I saw was like, first of all, it was very angry. They're all angry.
They're
They're all
YouTubians.
they're all mad at other people they're all looking down on people of the diaspora. And so
Wow.
they have this really narrow focus or definition of what it is to be a Black American or a foundational Black American is that you could only trace your lineage back to somebody during slavery or somebody who was
True.
in North America. And I think first of all that's first of all I think it's silly because I don't really see the actual functional purpose of that. But also think it's really really hard, right? Like who by that definition you're cutting out a good 25% of all the black people in America, right? Because a good 20 something percent of all the black people in America are either first or second generation immigrant, right? So
Yeah, so you're cutting out
so you're
25% of the 13% that make us.
right. And why are you doing that exactly? Is just is it so some of the sense I got was that it's a reaction to black immigrants coming here and feeling that they're better than the African
Hey,
Americans.
Kofi, can I say something?
Was that?
Nobody's getting reparations. I'm just being honest with you. As time goes on and we continue to have these divisive arguments, guess what? You're messing up reparations for everybody. So we either come together or ain't nobody getting
But you
reparations.
know what though?
Church say amen.
Know what they are, even though they aren't national reparations, certain states are started or certain cities. I know there are some cities in certain states that either have given some reparations or are working on legislation. I don't think it's a totally far-fetched idea. And if you want to look at it from that angle too, like, oh, we need to make this more of a political category of FBA in order to get reparations. Um, I kind of understand where you're coming with that, but then the other part of it is okay. Then where do you draw the line, right?
Yeah, exactly.
As far as like, okay, do you only give it to people who are descendants of slaves? Because
Because I'll say
what about like
use me for example.
right,
Do I
right?
get it? Because I'm half,
You
so I
you
get half a check.
You get
maybe I can, like Chappelle Show did. Maybe I'm gonna get reparations and win a dice game and buy a baby.
right,
Remember the episode when he got his reparation? He became the richest black man in America off a dice game.
right. Yeah, so there's like how do you like just how do you do the math on that, right? Like as far, but then there's also like
Somehow 1/4 FBA, and my children get 1/4 of a check. My daughter gets 1/4 of a check.
I guess so. Like, but then okay, so if you think of reparations as is it only for people like slavery, or is it for what about all the stuff that happened after slavery, right? So like Jim Crow laws, redlining, there's a lot of damage and harm that's done to a lot of other people here who may not be descendants of American slaves, right? And so, rightly or wrongly, you could. I'm not even arguing for reparations to be given to every, black person, immigrant, whatever. I'm just saying it's a very messy thing to try to do if that's your justification for doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about reparations and stuff, and I won't get on that too much. I think it should be like community banks. I think there should be community banks set up in some of the larger African American populated cities that are able, and they should have branch offices in some of the secondary African American population centers where they can give interest-free loans to start businesses and support type of infrastructure instead of giving it to Tron, and I say Tron in a joking way. That was an episode of Chappelle Show. Don't be like, oh, he called somebody Tron. No, 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 no. I'm just saying Tron won the dice game and bought the baby cash or whatever. And you remember that episode, right? It stuck
I
out to
kind of
me.
vaguely remember.
Yeah, yeah. I actually looked it for I actually looked at it for research.
That was your research?
That was my research. I watched Chappelle Show, right? You know. So I say that to say this, for the FBA movement, I'm not against it. I just think it's another attempt of African Americans, which, as you know, I am half African American. If you want to put that in there, of us trying to find our identity. One of the core memories I have as a kid, right? And my dad went through this too, because my dad immigrated here back in the 70s, right? And he married my mom, who was African American.
Mm.
My dad always wanted to find that my dad was very politically involved in Ghana and had that activism spirit. He wanted to find that here, and it was great in the 70s and 80s, but then when we got towards the 90s and the 2000s, it kind of waned, right? But it was one group that was keeping that alive, which was the Nation of Islam. So one of my core memories I had was being in the Richmond Coliseum. Shout out to the whole 804. I think I was like 7 years old. My dad went and took me to go see Farrakhan speak. And I had no clue who Farrakhan was at 6, 7 years old. I just knew it was hot in there. There was a whole bunch of bean pies. There were people in bow ties and stuff in there. And I'm looking around like, who we here for? And this guy, Farrakhan, had slick back hair and was speaking loud and angry. And I'm sitting here like, man, my Game Boy ran out of batteries. I have no clue what's going on. But you know what?
My mother didn't let me go. Is this a Million Man March?
No. No, we're gonna get to that because I didn't go either, right? And I know you got a I know you have a fond memory of that.
No, I actually didn't get to go.
You didn't go, but you was aware of it though, right?
My mother wouldn't let me go, and I'm in DC.
Wow. See, my dad actually went to the Million Man March. I couldn't go either or whatever because I was in school. But I say this, years later, when Farrakhan came to Norfolk State, I actually was able to see him speak, and I went on my own.
Mm.
The reason why I bring that up is at that time he was, and this is just an opinion, he was the person that was unifying that black consciousness, that black nationalism. Would you agree with me on that? There was a time he was the black thought leader for many people who were black nationalists who wanted better for black folk at a time.
Mm-hmm.
They attached themselves to the principles of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Now I feel like there's another movement that African Americans are attaching themselves to, which is the FBA. What are your thoughts? And you also got to talk about the why you play hooky from the Million Man March too.
No, my mother just wouldn't let me. She again, this is probably a cultural thing. It's like, you ain't missing no school. Like I didn't miss school for nothing.
Not even when you were sick.
Sick days. Not, she was like, Farrakhan, you better take your butt to school. So yeah, I watched it on TV. I was like the only person in class.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. But I think it's I don't I guess I have mixed feelings about this whole FBA thing because on the one hand I kind of understand where where some people are coming from, where they're like, look, we can't necessarily trace our roots all the way back to so and so tribe or so
Correct.
and so this here and there. So, like, this is our thing. Like, we have our own culture, we have our own lineage that we could, like we American, as we're not like African, we're not, yeah, we all come from Africa, but we're American and we got our own thing, and that's that, right? And so I kind of understand the need to identify yourself, the need to have a community, the need to feel like it's to feel that something that's your own, right? Because this was part of slavery. This is the legacy of slavery and colonialism and everything else. Is that the people who were descendants of slaves were cut off from their
True.
their home and their lineage and everything, and so like this is their way of starting saying like, no, we have something. We're not this lost tribe. This is us. We're creating this thing that is just us.
If I could, you're not lost, right? You see what I got on? My legs hurt and don't mess with my VA disability. I got on Tim's and I got on a dashiki. That's what we are. We are half African and we're half American. I think even though I know the term African American is kind of like a misnomer because Africa is a wide range of countries and stuff, Black Americans probably a little bit more fitting. We all can trace our roots from the continent. Now I know there's some mixing in there, sprinkle a little bit of, Portuguese and, other things in there as well, white and Native American and things like that. But you come from Africa. There's no denying it. I challenge people who subscribe to the FBA movement. And I'm not against it, right? I think that was that Bone Thug song. I don't hate rappers. I'm not against rappers, right? I'm not against the FBA movement. I'm not against people who identify themselves as FBA. I don't you can do your DNA, and I guarantee you a large percent of it will come from the continent of Africa. No matter what we do in this country, the blood that flows through us, the mitochondria, the DNA, whatever else the chromosomes can be tied back to the continent. Just like everybody else in human history, but ours is just more direct and more recent over the past couple of years.
Now, okay, so here's my one little pushback. So
Sure.
this is why I keep going back and forth on this issue. There is a good amount of evidence that black people, Africans, were here long before Columbus.
I've seen the movie before, but before Columbus, I saw it years ago.
Okay, I haven't seen the movie, but I you know what I'm saying? So there are some people that say, nah, I didn't come from Africa. Like my people were already here. And I think there's probably some credence to that too, right? But here's where, so like all of those logical, reasonable, like justifications for the FBA movement, I'm with. The way where I kind of diverge and where they kind of lose me is that I feel like it's basically still white supremacy in blackface, because I think that their intentions is not to highlight and celebrate their own culture. I think their intentions is really to suppress and think and put down other cultures. I think that's the heart of where at least a lot of them are. I don't think it comes from a good place. So
No,
that's why I can't mess with them. Like I don't, I feel like they look down at Africans like they're primitive. And all of the same negative stuff that you hear white people and talking about Africans. I've heard these FBA people say the same exact thing. And that's where I've kind of like, I don't feel like your spirit's right.
yeah,
You know?
it's not in the spirit of collaboration.
No.
Cause I mean, believe it or not, I'm from Ghana, Africa, and guess what? And you can attest to this more. You've been to Ghana more recently than I have. there's a lot of FBA people moving to Ghana, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, if you ain't from there, why you going over there? I'm just saying, right? If that's not home, but guess what everybody says? When I get there, it feels like it's just right. Yeah, because you know
See, but
why?
those people ain't going to Africa. They're like, I'm American.
I'm,
American.
I'm America, right?
You
Scream,
know,
hey,
like they're
hey,
basically the Americas of
yeah,
of black folks.
and I get it, right? And once again, I think this is the long winding odyssey of African Americans trying to find their identity in this country. And it's been a tough winding road because we've been homogenized, we've been mixed up, scrambled up, put in all different parts of the country. People from LA got their own culture, then people from Florida, from New York to Detroit, we all got different cultures. The only thing that ties us together is the melanin in our skin. And it's hard, and I know we want to be different, but I just don't see the difference. Yes, if I'm from the Caribbean or I'm from Africa, I grew up different than you. Can't dispute that, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Right, right, right,
But in this country, when you sign that census or when you fill that bubble in on that standardized test, it don't say FBA.
right.
It don't
I've never
say
had the option of
F-
Guyanese American.
yeah, I've never had the option of Ghanaian American. It's a black. Blackity black black. I'm black, y'all.
All
That's
right,
what it says.
so let's look at the flip side of this, right?
Sure.
Let's and here again is where I understand where some of these folks are coming from too. So, right? Again, I'm probably sound like I'm just flip-flopping back and forth. I do believe that there is a thread or undercurrent, if you will, of immigrants, black immigrants, whether you're from Caribbean or um, Africa or wherever. I do believe that some people come here as an immigrant class and achieve, and when they do achieve, they like, well, I achieved. Why didn't you achieve? And you've been
No.
here longer than me,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
right?
immigrant hate is real too.
Right.
And they ignorant too.
But so they're the people who are the FBA movement. I think that's where they're like, well, F y'all too. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not appreciative of the struggles and the things that we've done here to so that you could come over here and achieve,
But
you know?
why are we always letting the two ignorant talking heads of the groups or the multiple ignorant talking heads of the group talk for us? Oftentimes, like even in politics, right? Most people are not left and right. They're somewhere in the middle. People
Mm,
have I mean I don't get me wrong, right? People lean a different way, but most average people who come home want to take care of their kids, feed their pet, go on maybe a vacation if they can afford it, or just pay their student loans off these days. They just want a simple life, and they agree with some parts of what one politician say. They agree with some parts of what the other politicians say. They're in the center. So I think that's the same thing for the FBA movement and the immigrants. Most people just want to coexist
mm.
and be peaceful. We understand there's differences, but I don't I don't hate you because you're from Guyana. You shouldn't hate me because I'm from Ghana. We
Right.
we we all are in this black thing together.
Yeah,
You
yeah. No,
know?
that's definitely
Yeah.
how I feel about it. Like, I listen, this whole FBA thing came about, like, I never even questioned as to whether or not I should be calling myself
Yeah.
a African American. Now I'm seeing stuff about, like, oh no, you're not actually black. You're not African American. You're Guyanese, or you're this, or you're that. Like, that whole thing makes me question, like, oh, should I be calling myself black?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
right.
like, or should I be, do I, you know what I'm saying? Like, who gets to say who's black? Who gets to say who? I've always called myself African American. I never had a option on any government employment form or
Yeah.
anything to check anything but black or African American. But now you have these people saying, like, no, you're not really African American. You can't call yourself African American. You're not from America. I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't ascribe to it, but there are some parts of it where I always try to understand where people are coming from, and I kind of, in a way, I do kind of understand some ways in how this could have been formed. I just think it's gone in a direction. that's really toxic,
Yeah.
at the heart of it. And as far as like from like the immigrant standpoint
Mhm.
too, right? Like I the problem with immigrants, who come here and look down on African Americans who are, still in the struggle, is that I feel like regardless of if you're from Africa, Caribbean, India, China, wherever, immigrants are a class of their own. And here's why I say this, right? I feel like immigrants move to a place on a mission, right? Like they have a purpose, right? So like when my mom came here, right? Like she came with nothing, right? She didn't have no safety net. She didn't have no real family network to speak of. Not really.
Mhm.
She came here with a purpose, right? She literally threw everything that she had away, sold everything, no furniture, no house, no whatever, and moved. And when you do that, your mindset is different. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to move to China right now, you're on a mission. You're on a no fail mission, right? And so I think they do have a higher chance of being more focused because it's not like you just woke up and grew up in a certain place. You actually went there for a purpose. And so every day you wake up, like you have a purpose, so I think that's different. So like, it's not that they aren't lazy bums in the Caribbean or in Africa or wherever, right?
Mhm.
It's just that the people that choose to leave have a different mindset. And I think that's part of it. And also think part of it is that a lot of the immigrants who are able to come over to America have resources, you know? So
Yeah.
like they have money. Some of them, you got doctors out here driving taxi cabs,
Yeah, because
you know?
their educational attainment in that country doesn't equate to this country, which is crazy. Because a
Yeah.
doctor is a doctor anywhere. One thing, if I could back up and unpack what you said earlier,
Mm,
is that when those immigrants come, they are a class among themselves,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
The point I would like to make is you may be a class upon yourself based on the backs of the African Americans and other minorities that have been doing work in this country. I
oh, for
think
sure.
I think that can't be disputed because where the ignorant immigrant comes in and think they're better than whether you're Mexican and you see Mexican Americans, or whether you're African and you see African Americans, those people that are here fought for you to be able to come here and have the shit that you need or have the rights that you have. And I think there has to be a certain level of respect. I think it can't be, I think oftentimes the more convenient way is to look at people in groups instead of sorting out individuals. If you are an immigrant or let's say you are African, right? You're from the continent of Africa. Let's say you're from Togo and you come to America and you come to a predominantly African American area and they call you names. Those are those particular people. It's hard to separate that because we're all human,
Mm,
right? Because every our personal feelings are our personal feelings and you own them personally, right? I learned that in therapy. Um, you still have I think it's an extra layer of empathy you have to say all black people are not like that. I think that's the grace we got to give each other if we're wanting to be a race of true brothers and sisters, not just a name.
yeah. Or acknowledging that, like, the country you came from, there was people that acted the same way. Whether
Yeah,
there's good, bad, ugly, lazy, hardworking people all over the world,
true.
and you probably left a whole bunch of lazy people,
There's a hell of lazy people.
in your family too. So like
Shoot, you go to
you,
Ghana, there's people drinking beer at lunch. And they tell me, oh, I got to get back to you in 2 hours or 3 hours. You know, when I got this shirt made, shout out to my cousin Cuckoo. He keep me fresh all the time. This tailor, I had to leave on like a Thursday. He got the order. I was only there for 3 weeks. He got the order the first Thursday I was there. I literally was sweating bullets the day of I was flying off. He wasn't busy.
Mhm.
When I knocked on the door, he was asleep. He said, "Oh man, you come here today?" I said, "Yeah, I leave today." "Oh man, nobody told me." I'm like, "Nah, bro. I told you when I first got here." So I could have
Right.
said, "Oh man, all Ghanaians are lazy." But as a brother, right, as somebody that I believe that we have to give a higher level of empathy to. right? We have to give a different level of understanding. If we want to have this whole black race, this diaspora be linked, I have to say that's that man, not everybody in this country.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I'm just laying out the some of the nuance behind the conversation. You know,
True.
not that I actually I don't ascribe to this FBA movement. Like I said, I think it's mostly just white supremacy and blackface. Um, but I also want to acknowledge where some of this could be coming from, and do acknowledge for those who are clinging to this FBA movement because they feel like it's a reaction to what immigrants are doing to them. I do want to still
What the
also
immigrant doing to
acknowledge.
them?
I still well the way immigrants are looking at them, right? Like I do
Well,
want to
that's your bum
acknowledge that.
ass.
Well, I'm saying I want to acknowledge that, yeah, that does happen,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
I've heard it. I've heard it in my from my own family.
Me too.
Like looking down on, what I'm saying. So like I know it's a thing. They're not just they didn't just make that up. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
because I
there are
mean,
some immigrants who are ignorant and who what I'm saying, but we can't let that define that. We can't use that to be like a catalyst for like segregation.
oh yeah, because I mean, even in Ghana, we got to turn a kata. That means you're a black American. A kata. That's
I actually just heard that today. Actually,
oh,
for the
somebody
first
called
time.
you that.
No, no, no.
Oh
I was,
no,
I'm scrolling through TikTok. I was like, I was like,
I've been
damn.
called that all the time, and guess what? I wear it proud too, because guess what? That blood
What is
flows
it?
right.
A cutter?
A kata is kind of
Yeah,
like a
black.
a black American. It's a
Yeah,
derogatory term. People say that, and I wear it with a badge of honor because I'm like, yeah, you talking about my mama, but my mama and my daddy were married, so you calling my dad that? And my dad is so senior and so elder, not in the bad way. He remembered Ghana. He was born when Ghana was still a colony in the Gold Coast.
mm,
So if you're gonna call one of your elders dad or whatever, go kick rocks because he's seen more history than you guys even forgotten. So I say that to say this. You have to be careful what you say to people and how you label people. And it's the same on the African American side. Trust me. You and I joked one time about when did the Black consciousness movement come out recently, and I said, man, Black Panther did a number on people. People were going to the movie theaters and dashikis and head wraps, talking about Wakanda forever. I remember I was in Afghanistan, I was doing this to people, and it was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, man, I would tell people, they're like, where you from? Like Wakanda. They would be like, really? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, I know T'Challa.
that's
But
crazy.
but one thing I would like to segue into Kofi is as immigrants, right?
Hmm.
And this is gonna be a tough one. Oftentimes we see ourselves above, not of,
Hmm.
and that sometimes leaks into our political ideology.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
get a lot of immigrants who are right wing, who are conservative.
Winston,
Not
Winston Earl Sears.
yeah. Shout out to Winston Earl Sears or whatever.
Are we shouting her out though?
I will say this though, right? And people are gonna get mad at me. And shout out to my boy AJ Big Arch down in Atlanta, my fellow Norfolk State Spartan. We had this argument all the time. No matter if it's the left, right, or whoever, that black woman still achieved a high office in a slave state. I know we may not be proud of what she has said, but that woman still, as a black woman, achieved the lieutenant governorcy of Virginia. Just because she's a kook and because she's right wing, right?
Mm.
Do we not still, as a black people, still acknowledge her for what she's done? Because she's still an immigrant, she's still a military veteran, and she still achieved the second highest office in the state of Virginia.
So I think.
Since we don't agree with, if I could, at one point I'll let you go.
Mm,
If we don't agree with her political ideology, do we not acknowledge her for that trailblazing accomplishment?
mm, I okay. So I don't really have a whole lot of love for any politician.
Sure.
So not necessarily, I guess, is my thing to that because
But she's a
I
black
do
woman.
believe no because I guess I don't really care. I don't really have a whole ton of respect for politicians, honestly.
Okay.
So like I don't necessarily think that any of them should be automatically um elevated or lifted up. So I maybe I'll take a case by case basis, I guess is what I'll say. So depending on what your politics is, depending on what you actually do in office, sure. But achieving a high position in politics to me is not something that I personally care about.
So Barack Obama is not heralded in the black community for being the
Yeah,
first black, but
but
everybody
if
liked
he
Barack because he said,
but Clarence Thomas isn't.
yeah, but Clarence Thomas still is a trailblazer though.
Yeah, but do we lift him up?
We don't lift him up, but we do acknowledge him as the first
Yeah,
we do it. I'm not the
we're
first.
acknowledging it as a fact. We're not celebrating them.
I don't say we have to celebrate him, but I mean we can't discount our part, and that's the problem I have a lot of times, and I get in trouble because people are, oh, you conservative. No, I'm just a real dude, right? Is you have to acknowledge both sides. That woman still came to this country, nappy head and all, right? And I hate when people, and the reason why I say that is because I see a lot of people online talking about we can't elect somebody without their hair being did. She's still a black woman that's achieved the highest office or the second highest office in
No,
Virginia.
I don't.
You can't dispute that. Like
No,
if Barack was a conservative and he won the presidency, you still have to acknowledge he is the first African American
no, I
mixed race president
nah,
of the United States.
nah.
You can't because we don't like him or we don't like his politics. He still did that.
He, I don't.
If he was a conservative.
Because listen, first of all, it's a lot easier for a black person to achieve in the conservative movement because there aren't that many of them. So when they do find a black conservative, oh yeah, come on, we need you. We need a black face on this.
But there's plenty of unsuccessful black conservatives.
Yeah,
Alan
but
Keys, what was your boy name
but
that was
but it's
surgeon?
easier to rise to the top in there
Is it?
because they love to put black faces on conservative movements.
They do.
You know,
They
like,
do.
And first of all, I'm not anti-conservative. I think it's actually productive to have smart black conservatives. Like I'm not if you're a if you're a conscious black person and you choose to be conservative, I don't automatically look down on you or disparage you or anything like that.
Understood.
I'm more gonna actually try to figure out where do you stand on issues. The problem is in today's politics, as divisive as politics is, I don't believe that if you're a black person and you're kind of helping this movement, this anti-black movement, which I believe is, I think you're part of the problem. And so at that point, I don't respect you. You know,
No, I can agree with that. I can agree.
so yeah, I could acknowledge whatever that she is the first black person to this, that, and the other, but that doesn't mean I respect it. If she can't stand up for black people, if she can't, do these things, I don't necessarily acknowledge it either. But I feel the same way about black liberals. There are a lot of black liberals who I absolutely hate.
Ooh, you better not say that loud.
Oh, a lot of them are trash.
Oh,
a lot
boy.
of them are absolute trash. Like
Clip that.
If you think
Clip that.
if you think for 1 second that all black that just because you're a black face in a liberal in the Democratic Party, you're automatically pro-black, you haven't been paying attention. You just have not been paying attention to history.
Can we say this, and not to get too far away from the FBA movement, but to how I think the confusion is for a lot of people that haven't educated themselves. And I'm not going to say this as them being uneducated, but it just you haven't educated yourself on the topic. You can be a conservative how the way you live your life and vote differently. You can be a liberal how the way you live your life and vote differently. Political ideology and how the way you run your life are two separate things, right? I heard Stephen A. Smith say this one time, which
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, he's an FBA, I guess, right? No, I'm joking, right? And I don't agree with this, but it wasn't a smart statement, but the premise was accurate. He said, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm politically liberal. People have to understand how the way you live. Most black people are conservative when it comes to their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it, if you go back to the fundamental African American, Black American, FBA American lifestyle, they are conservative. They believe in religion They believe in raising children in a certain way. They believe in certain family structure. But they've always voted Democrat, especially over the past, let's say, 25 years, has been trending more liberal, right? So they're how the way they live and how the way they vote is diametrically opposed, right?
Hmm.
So I say that to say this, people have to understand that. Now, going back to the topic of immigrants
Hmm.
aligning themselves with, I guess, the counter movement of the black masses, I
Hmm.
think that has to be studied because you do get a lot of immigrants that tend to side with the counter movement of what the majority of black people
And
do.
I
Why
think
is
that's
that?
where that's the problem. I think,
Why is
or
that though?
that's where some of this comes from.
But why?
Um,
In your opinion?
I think some of it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I think a lot of immigrants look down at Black Americans and feel like, no, I came here and I achieved. Why haven't you achieved? I pulled myself up from my bootstraps. I did, you know what I'm saying? And
You ain't
that's
had no shoes.
the mantra, but that's the conservative mantra, right? That's their talking point. What they claim is their ideology. Now we all know that's mostly a bunch of bullshit, but like if you latch on to that as an immigrant, or as anybody, right? You just happen to be an immigrant. Yeah, like there's an immigrant class of people who are like, I'm gonna come to America and I'm gonna achieve the American dream and nobody's gonna stop me and da 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 da. And that's what conservative preaches.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And I think for those immigrants that do that, I understand that you may not feel a part of the overall black society, but you have to understand at the end of the day, you still black. And that's the point I was making about Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. I want to give her proper title. We may not agree ideology wise, but you still, at the end of the day, are the first black lieutenant governor. Just like for those people who are conservative, you still are a black person in this country. No matter how far removed you think you may be, there is going to be a point in time when your black car is going to be pulled on your ass, right?
Well,
And
she's
that's just
feeling
the
some
way
of
it
that
is.
right now. I
Well, yeah,
mean,
that's
there's a reason why Trump ain't been down here.
well, I mean,
Ain't gave
she,
her no help.
she
Like
said
she.
on True Social, he shouted her out.
Oh yeah, okay, right.
he
You
said
know
he said
she.
I shouted her out. That was good enough.
Right, but he obviously has chosen not to put his weight behind her, and I would speculate that's because she's a black woman immigrant.
Yeah,
Like she is
I think
everything that his ideologically she represents a lot of things that he and his party is against. This like you know what I'm saying? So like she might agree with him, you know, policy wise, but like she represents something that they're against.
that's true. I think Charlemagne and the Breakfast Club coined this very well. It's a real ninja wake up call. And I think that's true. Like it's a real ninja wake up call. There's gonna be a point in time, no matter how good you are, no matter how black you are, no matter how much money you got, there's going to be a point in time where somebody's gonna tap you on your shoulder and say, "Excuse me, sir." You be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You're black. And guess what's gonna happen? Is you gonna get that moment? You're gonna be like, I need all my people to pray for me. I need all my support or whatever. Everybody gonna be looking like,
What OJ say? I'm not
I'm not,
black. I'm
I'm
OJ.
not black. I'm OJ. Okay. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, okay. That worked out well. Shout out to the Juice man. He redeemed himself by going on Cameron and May show towards the tail end of his career. He came back to the culture and in his tail end of his life or
Well,
whatever.
we ain't had
So,
no choice.
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You always run back to your home that you love, right? How many of us went out and tried to start life on our own and got our ass handed to us and had to come back to mom and say, "Mama, I need to come back." So same thing with the black conservatives and the people.
He got a reminder. Yeah, is that they,
And if I could, that's the point I'm making with the FBA people. No matter how far you try to break away or branch out, we all lumped in this together. You know? And I understand you want to be different. I understand you want to have a better name. I understand you want to discount a 10% discount at AutoZone. But guess what? We all black. At the end of the day, we all gonna celebrate Juneteenth. We're probably all gonna show up a little bit late. Let's see what else. If you come too early to the party, you're gonna help set up. What other things? Come on, help me out. Come help me out with black stereotypes. Come on, come on, come on. There's a lot of other black stereotypes, right? The man always got to get the big chicken leg. Come on, next one. Come on, cause y'all
Potato salad. Something about potato salad.
Potato salad.
We don't like raisins.
Yeah, we don't like raising our potato salad or whatever. If I make Kool-Aid, it's gonna be extra sweet, right? Don't leave that last little drop. Do not do that.
Shout out to everybody out there who's getting away from the extra sweet Kool-Aid. As a former diabetic myself, stop drinking that nasty all that sugar. It ain't good for you.
Yeah, sugar water is not good for you or whatever. But it just goes to say, like, as we go through this whole journey as being black people in this culture, it's gonna morph. It's gonna turn into different things. I don't know. We might be something else in the next 10, 20 years. I like the name Foundation of Black America. I think is a powerful name, but I think the concept and the application is wrong, in my personal opinion. And I'm not discrediting anybody that's subscribing to it, but we have to just understand that in this country, you got a certain hue, or you got parents, your hair's a certain kink, there's no separation.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody out there who's fighting to bring us together. Like, if you want to call yourself something, I don't love it, but like if your spirit is if you're doing it in the spirit of separating yourself and feeling like you're better than somebody else, I don't care if you're an immigrant, I don't care wherever you're from, if you're American or Caribbean, whoever, like, we got to focus on unity, especially with everything that's going on right now. Unity is the key.
Well, like a black man with a receding hairline, like we tell our brothers, come on home. Come on home. Y'all Foundation of Black Americans, come on home. We all
I ain't heard that one, man.
You ain't heard that one?
No.
They always tell black men that, when the hairline start, coming back to the middle of the head, they say, just come on home, brother.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, man, nah, he different. He different. He don't want to come on home. He wanna be out there.
We gotta have a whole podcast about Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, we do. It's a lot.
He gotta have his own topic.
Yeah, and I'm proud of that, brother.
Our future president.
Yeah. But see, even if I disagree with him, I still acknowledge that he is the highest earning sportscaster.
He went to HBCU,
black.
right?
Yeah, he went to Winston-Salem State. Like, shout out to Winston-Salem State and all the HBCUs. He still is the highest earning black broadcaster, I think, in history. I think he beat out Brian Gumbel and his brother as well. So I mean, you have to acknowledge that.
The man got something going on for him.
So let me ask you this though, before we leave. Why is it that we can acknowledge him, but we can't acknowledge Winston Earl?
No. I guess
right?
it depends. It might be more semantics here. Like,
yeah,
I acknowledge her. I just don't celebrate her.
Understood.
I don't. It is.
But she made it though. She made it.
I don't. That's fine. But that goes back to me. I'm not impressed by any politicians.
I understand.
I had an opportunity to meet Obama myself like a couple years ago. Didn't really take it.
Damn.
It wasn't a one-on-one meeting.
It was like
it was
that.
It was a.
You'd have been like, "Well, Kofi, it's been great to see you."
It wasn't a personal meeting.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing: like, I don't care about the celebrity of them, right? So like, this was like a rally in Northern Virginia we were having, and at this time, I'm like knee deep as an activist. I'm going after all of them. I'm crushing all the politicians, right? I don't care what party you're from. Like, if you ain't doing for black people, I don't care.
If you don't vote for me, you're not black.
If you're not doing right by my folks or whatever, like, so like I never really cared about the celebrity of politicians. And look, Barack Obama there are people that I respect and I love and I think they're great people. I just don't really. Politicians, I have politicians friends that I like that I still don't really care for. I just think the job is
greasy.
It's a nasty job, man. It's like it causes you, it brings out it forces you to be very transactional and I don't really see them as real people. So like, I don't really care for them. They're transactional. If I need something, I'll try to get it done.
And how the way you feel about politicians, or how I feel about FBA. They transactionally black. They want to be like, oh, now I want to come back to Africa. No. You go back over there in your foundation, right? Whatever foundation you got, you better go find that foundation. Because they be like, oh,
that foundation looking a little shaky right now.
Looking a little shaky. Next thing you know, National Guard over there. So I'm just saying, right? But hey, it's all love. We gonna figure it out one way or another, because that's why we are here, to not only entertain you, educate you, and bring the bridge together with Sankofa Sessions. So, my brother Kofi.
Yes, sir.
Episode 2 is out of here. We love y'all. Thank you for your time.
Forget to shout out Resist. We got to shout out Resist Booksellers over here in Petersburg.
Yeah.
Hey, and the book for this this episode is Foundational Black American by Tariq Nasheed. If you want to check it out, I have not read it. I do, so I can't personally recommend it, but I think I do want to at least check it out to kind of get a better understanding of where the brother's coming from. So that will be available that is available at Resist Booksellers. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah.
And also, if you guys are looking to travel, Sankofa Travels with Kofi.
Send the checks to him, not me.
Yes, please, because he will steal them.
No, man, I'm not Nigerian. Let's get that straight.
But yeah, check us out, Sankofa Travels with Kofi.org.
Hey,
that's
man,
it.
That's it. It's been beautiful, people. Till next episode. Love you. Peace.
Sound.com.